All right, on to something completely different from altruism to aggression. The biological influences of aggression. Well, they start off with evolutionary views and the perspective of aggression. Possibly certain stimuli that release innate aggression. Certain stimuli, you know what a stimulus is, something that causes you to act. So there are possibly, certain stimuli that release this innate aggression that we have. And then there's the survival of the fittest theory. You got to survive, so you aggress so that you do not get taken out or taken down, that type of stuff. Then there's the genetic basis. Proactive physical aggression in humans may be genetic. Not quite sure, but it could potentially be genetic. They are definitely researching that. There are neurobiological factors, the areas of the brain, the limbic system, and the frontal lobes. There are certain neurotransmitters, the serotonin, having low levels of serotonin. Remember before we said higher levels of serotonin could lead to like happiness and well-being. Hormones, having higher levels of testosterone, which, males typically have higher levels of testosterone. Males are typically the ones who have higher levels of aggression. And then there's the frustration aggression hypothesis. This says that frustration, blocking attempts to reach a goal, always lead to aggression. I don't like absolutes, but we could say that when certain people get in frustrated situations because they can't attain a goal, it could lead to being aggressive. And then it also says other aversive experiences can cause aggression. Aversive is things that you don't like, things that cause you discomfort. Okay, so there could be other experiences. Cognitive determinants, again, cognitive thought processes. The aspects of the environment in which you live in, such as the presence of weapons. So if you live in an environment where there's lots of any type of weapon, I'm not going to single any particular kind out, but if there's weapons available, readily available to you, could potentially lead to certain aggression. And perceptions of unfairness. If you feel like you're being wronged and things aren't fair, if you have that genetic makeup, potentially that genetic makeup, then you could lead to be aggressive. And then there's observational learning, by learning what others are doing in your environment or in the area that you live in, watching TV, video games, movies, real life, what's going on. We know that we are always learning through observation. Cultural variations that could lead to aggression. Well, when there's a big gap between the rich and the poor, could lead to aggression and anger in the poor class because of the great disparity between the two classes. Cultural norms about masculine pride and family honor. Men having this ego thing. And then the culture of honor, man's reputation as an essential aspect of economic survival. I'm the provider of this household and all that type of stuff. So if there's any questioning or doubt or anything being taken away, they could become more aggressive. Media violence can prompt aggressive, antisocial behavior in children. Violent pornography may have some effect on male sexual aggression. So they're talking about, think about it. When I was a kid, video games were, they were just coming out, first of all, Pong and those type of things. But you had Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, those type of things, Zelda, football games, sports games, that type of stuff. Now, there's all kinds of things, games where you're, I don't even know the names of the games. Where you're shooting people up, cutting limbs off, cutting heads off, all kinds of blood. And they're so graphic these days. And now they have to have ratings, right, for age groups because of the violence that's on there. And they're saying that this could lead, and this is the media violence, but we'll get to wherever it is. We'll get to video games and stuff, but media, you're watching movies. I mean, how many movies? And they're so graphic these days because the special effects are so unreal that they can do all this type of stuff. And you know, they say the more you're watching these violent acts and stuff, then it stirs up some feelings inside. I said a little bit ago, generally males are more aggressive than females. Reducing aggression, what can you do? Decrease rewards for and exposure to aggression. So stop showing aggressive behavior. Stop showing this stuff on the news. Stop going to these types of movies. You see the parenting strategies that you can take there, but you know, limiting the exposure to aggression and that type of stuff. Social influence, slide 30. This is how behavior is influenced by other individuals and groups. Makes sense. We're going to talk about conformity, obedience, and group influence. Conformity. This is your change in your behavior to coincide with the group standard. So basically, you will change the way that you are acting to fit in with the group. Okay. Ash has an experiment here, this line experiment, which hopefully you looked at in the book. Basically, taking a look at this, it says participants conform to incorrect answers 35% of the time. In the experiment, you're shown a line, the standard line there on the left, and then you come over to the right and you ask the people, well, which line, A, B, or C, is representative of the standard line, is equal to the standard line. And there is a person in the group who is the subject who you're testing, and then there are several Confederates who are people who are planted, and the Confederates, the people say, well, it's line C. Line C is equal to the standard line. And the person being judged, and you are looking at it, you're probably saying, oh, you're wrong, Mr. You. It's line B. But because everybody else is saying line C, you're questioning yourself, and you say, yeah, it's line C. It's line C. Wrong. The answer is B. But why is that happening? Because you want to conform to your behavior to be like everyone else. Now, this is just with lines. Imagine being out there in the public and something is going on, right? You ever been in a group and people are acting a certain way that doesn't quite coincide with the way that you want to act, but because you want them to like you or you want to belong to the crowd and be in the in crowd, then you decide that you'll do it. Well, I'll just do it this time. You know, that's what the conformity is all about there. So conformity, informational, social influence. We do this when we want to be right. And it does depend on how confident we are in our independent judgment. With regard to that line, you know, hopefully you are not influenced by the other people and you would say, yeah, it's line B. This is very minor, but in other situations it's a little bit more important. And also depends on how well informed we perceive the group to be. So if we think the people are very informed, then we might go along with them. If we feel that they are wrong, then we might, we feel that they are not very educated in that area, we might go against them. And this can go along again with elections and all kinds of things. Normative social influence is when we want to be liked. Okay, normative social influence when we want to be liked. I have a video here. It's short. It's funny. You should like it. This is old school, and I have it set up here. Watch this. This is going way back in time. This is a funny video.
The gentleman in the elevator now is a candid star. These folks who are entering, the man with a white shirt, the lady with a trench coat,
here.
And subsequently, one other member of our staff will face the rear. And you'll see
this is the person they're
how
trying
this
to
man
influence. Okay, they're trying to influence this guy here who's wiping his nose. Obviously, when you go in an elevator, you typically face the front, which is what he's doing. But the actors, the Confederates, are going in the elevator and facing the back of the elevator. See what he does.
Tries to maintain his individuality, but little by little, he looks at his watch, but he's really making an excuse for turning just a little bit more to the wall. Now we'll try it once again. Here's the candid subject. Here comes the candid camera staff, 3 of them at least. And this man has apparently been in groups before. Now, here's a fella with his hat on in the elevator. First he makes a full turn to the rear and Charlie closes the door. A moment later, we'll open the door. Everybody's changed positions. Now we'll see if we can use group pressure for some good. Now, in a moment, on Charlie's signal, everybody turns forward. Notice they take off their hats. And now, do you think we could reverse the procedure? Watch.
Human nature to follow others. That is conformity. Conformity in the brain. Well, conforming may make the brain actually, quote unquote, feel better when we fit in. So it actually may make us, maybe something biologically, because that's what we're dealing with the brain, biologically may feel better when we fit in with others. Conformity in culture. Collectivist cultures have been associated with greater levels of conformity. Collectivist cultures are cultures that look out for each other, community-based. Everybody feels responsible for helping others be raised, be successful, that type of stuff. Whereas individualistic societies like the U.S. is very individualistic, where it's mostly about you and how you can be successful and all that type of stuff. Collectivist cultures tend to be maybe, well, whatever. But they do tend to take care of each other. I'm not going to point one out in particular. Cultural norms provide clues about how groups of human beings have managed to adapt in life. Okay, the norms of the society help you with regard to that.